So, brief interruption. As I expected, my toddler did come in. So, this is part two. I'm just going to post them both because then I don't have to do it and tempt fate a little bit more by trying to redo the video. So, getting back to the idea of feeling doomed with going through the dating, navigating dating when you're an INTJ female. So a couple thoughts. Sorry, she's right here. So as INTJ females, yeah, that's my daughter. We are tertiary, inferior feelings. So our connecting to our feelings can be a challenge. So we can come across as harsh or maybe even stoic, just that veneer. But there's all those feelings that we have working in the background. So we're thinking about those things at the same time. So I've also noticed that this in my spousal relationship, so getting to the point of the emotional, the emotionally stronger than, say, my ISFP partner. And I also noticed that in other relationships where they comment, I feel if I don't maintain a dominant attitude, you're going to run me over. And because I did hear it more than once, I found that an interesting thing. So coming across as that strong, independent person that they may feel comes across as they don't need anyone or they're tough, even though we are a big mushy mess, at least for me, underneath. That part, I don't know if that's necessarily a strength to have that tough looking exterior in all situations, especially in relationships, because you can get preconceived notions that that is only who you are, and maybe some people won't dive in deeper, and that could be what the viewer is noticing, where people make assumptions and then jump ship too prematurely. So getting to that though, I could see tendency, if I see a weakness when I'm dealing with relationships, that, and I apologize again, but this is what happens on a Saturday, that I do know that I have a tendency that I could run someone over. I feel that, where if I feel a weakness in someone else, and I'm not meaning a weakness in, say, necessarily just the feelings dynamic, but more it's my debate side coming out, where they want to see emotions and I am analyzing their argument more like a debate team situation. So as I've gotten older, I've tried to rein that in, realizing that personality types, when someone is approaching you from a feelings perspective in a relationship and trying to suss you out, that portion I've tried to dial down. So my exterior thinking, I try to come at it with a different approach. So I use that as an opportunity in those types of situations in dating to move towards, say, using my analytical and my strategic skills that just come automatically, and I use it then to analyze the situation and realize the appropriate piece of that I should be approaching this with is through using that to begin active listening and really understanding and scoping out that person. It's not just me being part of this equation and making sure they understand me, but using the critical thinking skills to get more understanding of the person that you're with. And again, with that, most people want to talk about themselves. So if you're self-conscious and just worrying that you are presenting the way that you want to present, or feeling that this situation is going to happen again, I found using the active listening and engaging to be something that allowed a bridge for maybe breaking down some barriers when you're first starting to get to know someone. So speaking to that a little bit more, that's also the empathy side. So learning that empathy tool was great because it builds from that active listening. You're able to build a picture of that person and understand where they're coming from, and maybe more disclosure on what their challenges are, and through more serious conversations, which is more personally an INTJ female myself, that's where I like to end up, is something more deep and meaty when we're chatting. So the idea too, there might be an intimidation factor, I mentioned it before, that may play into the dating aspect, again, because we're different and they see, say, if we do appear more tough or self-composed than other experiences they've had, they might put judgment on that. And from that perspective, that's not your problem, that's theirs. So always stay true to yourself. Self-awareness is just about understanding more of the great things of you, not trying to fit a mold to fit in society. So if it's even just self-awareness is more building in being okay with the good and the bad, and knowing that those are not finite definitions. Good things have bad sides and vice versa. So the other thing I just wanted to quickly wrap up with is I do find that potential partners who have a solid sense of self. So you can tell when you are around someone who is solid and a sense of their own, what they bring to the table. So you know that they're dealing out of more of a core value system of who exactly they are and aren't. And I'm sorry, I'm reading off this just to make sure I get my notes out. And that is technically emotionally stronger than the tough veneer that we have. And the best thing about, potential partners like that is that those people with that type of self-awareness and strength, they're strong enough that if there is feelings where, as an INTJ, you are, say, challenged with this idea that other people are intimidated by your emotional strength or, say, stoic outward appearance, the good thing about someone who's self-aware and strong in their own sense of self is that they set a tone and a vibe that allows you to be comfortable with going faster through trusting that person and doing that analysis. Because you're not playing off an ego. So the ego folks, the partners, men and women, those are the ones that are more of the scary ones, right? And you'll know that because they're the ones that would ghost you if you don't text them back fast enough, or they are quick to judge and take off. They're not questioning anything. Or if they feel that they've been slighted or insulted in some way, whether you intended something or not, they don't just laugh it off because they know who they are, or they have to take themselves too seriously, and you're having to walk around to manage and take care of that ego. And what happens with that is you end up with, if you continue on, you end up with a relationship where you have to carry a person who is actually emotionally inferior to the emotion strength of the INTJ. And it becomes a dysfunctional dynamic. So I like to use that as a clue, your gut sense saying, this guy seems pretty solid, or I'm feeling that I'm playing off this guy's ego. He's all about his ego. So make sure you're also not using your ego to make that assumption as well. So the final thing that I wanted to just quickly bring up, a good tip that I would throw out is if you're using social media in your dating experiences, one thing that might be of help is to use your witty side to create a dialogue when you're having discussions. So instead of the who, what, where, make it kind of more witty. So you'll get back if you get back a witty comment back and you are able to build some rapport, you'll get a sense on how intellectual they are. Because someone who is not intellectual or who has an ego, they will want to come across in a very particular way, or they just don't know how to be intellectually witty. And you pretty much get your answer right there, and you don't have to go through the problems of meeting this person and extending the issue further. Also, the good thing is that you've already built rapport, so when you do have a date, if it does go that way, if worse comes to worse and there is no chemistry, the best thing about it is at least you can have a fun time and know that that person is funny and he knows that you are funny as well. So I hope that helps. I apologize for the crazy interruptions. That is my life. But again, leave comments, want to hear, always look forward to hearing those things, and have a good weekend.